All right. Well, let me explain what a fairy ring is for those who don't know. Fairy rings are basically where mushrooms grow, but they grow like in a circle. And according to what I've heard and seen, and I don't know if this is fact or anything, so please do your own research on this. What is believed is that the way that a fairy ring is formed is that, um, of course, there's fairies, but they tend to dance. It's like they're kind of celebrating, and they tend to dance in a circle. But when they do that, in our world, they form shrooms. So these mushrooms will grow in areas that they have danced in, which creates like a
Oh.
little ring of mushrooms. And a lot of the times with these rings, in the inside of the ring, normally things don't tend to grow the same as outside. And the reason that they say that this happens is because they unknowingly create a portal. So a lot of people say you're not supposed to step in the middle of these rings because that kind of invites fairies and other mystical beings to go through and connect with you. But fairies are they're very tricky little creatures. So you don't really wanna mess with them.
Huh.
No, yeah, like again, it also depends on the fairies and anything. Also, it's like how I like to put it in a way, and also like how once someone described it as like think of it like almost like a doorway to their world.
Hmm.
Like you just don't randomly start go up into someone's house, open the door, and just go right in without invite and without asking. So like do that again, like how Noodle says, like they take that information now, like oh they can now mess with you however they want, like they can trick you, do little nuisances, like take some stuff, misplace it, it disappears, or it'll be someplace else that you never would have thought it would be there for any reason.
Yeah, they're little tricksters. Another way that you know that they're trying to get in contact with you is if you start finding like little bones or little sticks that just look kind of odd. You wouldn't see like it's rare things that you would find, basically. But they say that if that ever happens, don't take it because that invites them into your home. Because they're little tricksters, they tend to cause chaos.
So
So
then they're not good? Like you can't.
yeah,
No,
kind of think of them as like kids. Like they just kind of do their own thing. They don't really do anything good, not anything bad. It depends on the fairy itself, but for the most part, they like to play pranks.
yeah, as I said, they're very neutral. They're again, like, there's again book guides of how to like get in contact with a fairy spirit and to have them work with you. And again, a lot of people who actually do work with fairies, they will literally say it depends a lot on their fairy. But I think this one person, hers is very. She said in the beginning when she got in contact with her fairy, she was testing her a lot. Like she would hide a lot of the stuff that she needed at the last minute, and she'll be scrambling. She'll like be wanting to look for it and everything. And finally, she'll ask on her altar, does anyone know? And of course, the fairy's the first one saying, I don't know a damn thing. But then everyone else is like, pretty much like, she did it. We're gonna talk to her. Give us a minute. And depending on which deity it is, sometimes the fairy will actually listen because like they know like they're not strong enough to go against them. But again, like it's
Mhm.
also Hanito says like they're also like think of them like little like yeah they're really free spirits, free high spirited kids. Like they just
Mhm.
want to have fun. And unfortunately, like sometimes they can take it a little too far. And again, if you're working with a fairy spirit, and if they do accidentally take it too far, they will realize that and they will make amends on it. Like again, like the person like she was trying to go to an interview. She hid her keys. Took her about an hour and a half to find it. She got there, and she pretty much bombed it. And that's something she really needed. And like she said, like yeah, she went off on the ferry, like telling her how could she, like they needed this and everything, and now they're struggling even more now because of that. And like she said, the next day, like she felt like something was different, and a lot of the stuff that was missing or misplaced was back in its order. And then she actually found some cute little small flowers. And she realized like, oh, like this is her way of saying I'm sorry, like I'm gonna not do that again next time, or at least not to something very important.
Hmm.
Huh.
No, yeah, like again, like they don't. It's not like with malicious intent. They're just.
Yeah, like they don't really mean any harm, but they cause harm.
Mm-hmm.
It's just better not to,
It's
in
better
my
not to
opinion.
tempt them.
Yeah.
Okay, so the only thing that, because I have seen some TikToks talk about fairies, but the one that I remember the most because somebody, so it was, I think it was she's a witch and she was stitching it from somebody else. So you first see that first, you know how you first see the original post. And it was a lady decorating her tree. And have you guys seen those decorations where you put like there's like the little doors, the little fairy doors, and there you even put like a little mailbox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this lady that she was doing that and she was putting like flowers all around into her tree outside. And then the witch, the one that she came on and she said, you know what, this is wrong. Like this is a no-no. Like you're inviting them. You're
Hmm.
literally telling them like move in, make yourself at home. That's the one that came to my mind first, when you
Yeah.
guys said about fairies. But right now, as you were talking, once again, you're saying about that lady, it made me think of something.
Hmm.
We know somebody who has fairy stuff. Do you
Hmm.
know who I'm talking about?
I believe so.
Because I remember that even like for your wedding, Musica, remember how we had like little like fairy stuff for your wedding? I don't know if it was fairy stuff. I don't remember. It was like Enchanted Forest. And so a lot of the placements I did were like they looked like wood and anyways, she took them because we gave them to her. Remember we said you can
Oh
have them because
yeah.
she and so now and then I'm thinking how many things has gone missing in her house and then they appear.
Shit.
Huh.
Is there a possibility that maybe she unintentionally invited these?
Has she put any of them outside? Because it was my understanding if you had them inside, and she said that she has burned incense in her house,
Yeah,
that should be enough to keep them away. But if she had anything put outside and then she decided to bring it inside,
I don't know. We're gonna have
that,
to ask her.
Crap.
Although she doesn't have them in her, because she used to have them on her like as a centerpiece in her living room,
you're right.
and she doesn't have them anymore.
Huh.
But I don't know. I just thought
Maybe
about
she
that right
still
now.
has them.
Well, it's because like that's the whole thing. Like
Yeah.
even once you invite them in, like how that TikToker was saying, I don't think they probably went into full depth of it. Like once you invite them in, that's it. Like even if you were to get rid of it, they already there now.
So what do you do, or what can you do?
I mean, again, like there are other ways to get the incense to like shoo them away. You could try to talk to them, saying like, "Hey, like you guys are causing me a little bit of trouble. Can you like not hang around here anymore?" They may or may not listen, and if that's the case, then it's like worst comes to worst, like maybe bring your deity in and say like, "Hey, it's starting to bother me. Can you talk to them and like shoo them out or something?"
Mm-hmm.
Again, like that is mostly like a last resort because again, like deity work and everything like that, like that's very powerful, and you don't want to start straight up like intimidating them because like they could see that as an attack, and they will try to like take that like to heart and maybe try to attack you. Not saying like they could probably do a lot, but it can be very annoying. Or like maybe even sometimes like the fairies themselves they'll find the person boring and they'll just leave. Like again that happens. Like they don't like their reactions or like they think they're not that fun anymore, so they'll just leave. But
Oh
again,
my
a lot of times that doesn't
God.
happen. Like sometimes they'll like the reactions. They're like, okay, it's up our ante or something. Like it takes
I
a
was gonna
lot.
say, I honestly think that that's what I have going for me. I think that no, honestly, I think that this is why because we've had like some supernatural experiences, but not as much as other people in my family. And that's always been since I was a child, just because I don't get scared, or I tend not to get scared.
Mhm.
I'm not going to say I never get scared because I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that whenever I hear something or I see something, I'm more curious as to, nah, like it's not really, I don't know. And
Well,
you're right, maybe I'm boring. They don't get the reaction that they want.
well, that also depends on certain fairies, because some fairies, like, if they find your curiosity very entertaining enough, they will, like, do other stuff to keep your entertainment. Because, like, again,
Mhm.
not all of them will do a lot of chaos stuff. And again, in the beginning they might do that, but then, like, once, again, depending on which fairy it is and everything like that, you have to, like, it's a whole process to try to figure out which one it is. But there are some, like, once this person has their attention for whatever reason, they'll tend to kind of stick with them and, like, help guide them in a way. That's why there's a bunch of, like, fairy guides and everything like that.
Mhm.
For you, it might be different. Like, if there's a lot of stuff still catching your curiosity, then you might have a fairy with you who's keeping your curiosity up and everything.
No, no, no. I was just saying in general, like throughout life. I don't think I have. No, I don't think we have any because first of all, I hardly ever go outside. No, no, like I don't do any of the planting or gardening or anything outside, you know what I mean?
No,
And then
yeah.
when I first saw that TikTok with the that they were putting the little house and the little door, I was like, "Oh my God, that is so cute," because I thought that's what the TikTok was about. And I guess the original one it was. But then when it was that lady and she was like, "Yeah, don't do that," whatever. And then I went to the comments and everybody in the comments were saying the same thing. So I was like, but I
Mm-hmm.
mean, again, I would never.
I mean, yes, they're around a bunch of like plants stuff like that, but it's not just with gardening. Again, like with me, I don't garden, but I have 5, almost 6 now fairy rings around me, and I don't garden. But it's like also it's not just because of that they also
Mm,
gravitate towards with strong energies, and
mm,
I think with
I
me with Lady Guadalupe and everything, and what
such a
the
strong
saint that I'm
energy.
working with, it's very strong energies right now, and they're just being attracted by it. Again,
Oh, could
they're
be.
not exactly on the land towards on my apartment plot.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit more like just spread out around it. Like they're close, but they're not coming too close. Because I think they know like if they kind of piss her off or do something wrong, like she will turn around and like take care of it.
And be like, not today.
Pretty much. Like I think it's more like again like they're just finding it like curious or entertainment or whatever. I don't know. I don't go into their rings whenever they do form. My wife does, and we make sure our dogs don't. If they sniff around them, it's like it's fine. Just don't try to go in it.
Would you be able to take a picture or is that also a no-no?
You can. There's nothing wrong with actually taking pictures of it. It's the whole touching and going in that you do. That's a no-no.
Mm.
have one last thing I'm gonna talk about the fairies. I do know that some, if they have fairies, I heard that they are good for the garden. So she could invite them to live in the garden, but they're so fickle little creatures. I wouldn't recommend getting involved. But if you have one on you, it's better to put them in their area that they're more comfortable because they are known to like help the environment, you know?
Mhm.
So
Mm.
if you put them in a garden, they could help your garden thrive. But that would mean you need to keep up with it. You need to make sure that you do have somewhere for them to live and that it stays tidy. And I think they also say that you need to also give like little offerings every now and then. If you start seeing like your plants wither a little bit, then that's when it's like, okay, they want you to show appreciation for what they're doing.
No, yeah, because they're actually more one of the like interactive types. Like again, like depending on which anything that you're working with, because again, like some of them will interact more than others in some ways, and like, fairies, especially like how Noodles was saying, with nature and everything, like they're definitely more interactive that way. They'll help either to create it, make it more lush, vibrant, and beautiful, or if you start slacking everything, even for the slightest bit, they can easily like be like, oh, okay, you're not giving me attention, fine, I'm done then too then, and they'll just let it start to rot really fast. Yeah,
I
and
would never.
Yeah.
I've been kind of curious,
Mhm.
and the reason I don't is because like again, not saying like all fairies are like this, but apparently in lore there are a few major fairies that have been known to be very good, pure energy spirits, and then there are some that are very evil, bad ones too. But
Mhm.
again, most of the major fairies are just chaotic little children. Apparently, there's these ones that kind of deal like their own sort of like justice. And what they do is like they'll make someone have very bad luck, but in a very interesting kind of way. Again, like they'll miss things, they'll trip, they'll fall, like little small pranks in a way. But it gets amped up depending on like how bad of a punishment you want to give them or how much of it they deserve it. Because apparently somebody did this to an ex, like they're working with the fairy, saying that they were upset, they kind of wanted justice a little bit, they just wanted to have him a little bit of bad luck. And apparently her fairy's like, I know, like her fairy's like, well, like I could get like saying like she could get in touch with the fairy that kind of does that, like again, a price and everything. She gave an offering, stuff like that. Next day, he ended up breaking a leg,
Oh
and
God.
she was like, oh my God, like I didn't think like you would do that. And she's like, well, I didn't, this other one did, but like apparently he deserved it, don't worry, you're fine. And she's like, ever since then she's like, she's been very careful of like what she's asked of them, because you never know what you might get.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, yeah, like working with fairies, I agree. I wouldn't do that, mostly because like I do think it'd be kind of hard to like try and take things a bit seriously, and I don't think I myself would be like that. I feel like there might be one fairy probably attached to my wife, because like she always loses things a lot. Not as much anymore, but maybe because like they've gotten used to her, or like they no longer feel the need to hang around. Who knows? But yeah, again, like fairies in general, most of the time they're very chaotic energy, hyperactive, chaotic children. And no, yeah, I agree. I don't think I would ever personally work with a fairy. If I was to make a garden, I don't think I would work for a fairy. I think I would work with a gnome. Because just like
Oh.
kind of like a fairy, but they're not as chaotic. They will help protect and strengthen and, again, bring lush and vegetation to your gardens. Think of them, okay, if this will help. You know how like there's like when you redo your garden, like there's the fertilizer, and then there's something you could put like around your garden to help protect it from like insects and animals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, think of the gnome like that, like it's the protector. Like it makes
Huh.
sure nothing bad will happen to your garden. It even actually gnomes and fairies are actually known to actually be kind of at like I wouldn't say at war, but at odds with each other a lot.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
like if you were ever to be partnered with a fairy, you can never be partnered with a gnome because then they're always fighting.
Oh my God. So all the people that have like the gnomes, you think it's like the essence of the gnomes really do help them?
Probably, yeah. Cause yeah, unlike fairies that prefer their houses and mischief like that, they actually prefer to be having like almost like a physical something there, like representing them, so they could keep an eye on things. So,
That
oh
is
yeah, whether
cool.
people again, like if you're intentionally doing this unintentionally, you now have a gnome guardian.
Well, that I probably will get because I've always liked the way they look. I just have never really had a garden to put them in, but now that I have my flower pots and we're thinking of putting the clovers, maybe we can put gnomes. I saw this one where it's a dinosaur and the dinosaur is like eating the gnomes.
I
I
don't
don't
think
know
they
if they
would
would
like
find
that,
that
but I
offensive.
mean, I don't know. Try getting in contact once, see what they say. You never know; they might find it entertaining.
Exactly. My gnome has to be a weird gnome just like me. It has to be a strange one, just like me, okay? All right, ladies, thank you so much. I am Mita,
I'm Musica.
And I'm Noodles.
and we're bluntly talking. Bye.
Bye.
See you later. Hey, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and follow us on our other social media.